The Legend of Acrius is an exotic power shotgun obtained from a quest when you kill Cabal after reaching level 20. The first perk, Shock Blast, causes the weapon to fire a blast of high damage arc energy that over-penetrates enemies. The second perk, Long March, lets you detect enemies on your radar from further away. So yes, this is a Cabal shock rifle refitted for us Guardians, and boy does it pack a proper punch. It fires pellets in a typical spread fashion, but the damage from the pellets carries for the entire duration. Similar to Lord of Wolves and Destiny 1, the pellets that land are either going to do 100% of their damage, or they're going to do none of it. Fortunately, it's incredibly easy to make sure your pellets hit due to the generous spread of them, plus the completely maxed out range stat. Speaking of stats, let me throw some at you really quick here. The handling speed on this gun is horrible, probably one of the lowest in the game. Pulling this gun out in a pinch isn't exactly something that you will be doing. The gun also only holds 7 rounds total, and you are going to be picking up 4 in PvP from a single brick. The reload is also extremely slow, which you will be doing often. In PvE, Legend of Acrius has some pretty substantial damage. It will one-shot almost every single red health bar enemy aside from some of the more beefier mobs in the Nightfall. Major enemies from public events will usually die in a single blast as well. The over-penetrating rounds will make sure that you can one-shot large groups of enemies provided that they both line up right and are packed tightly together. The only thing you won't really be one-shotting are bosses and the beefy mobs in the Nightfall and Raid. The sad thing though is that I still don't think this gun really does enough damage, at least for the amount of ammo that it carries. You can hold 7 rounds in total, and you're usually only going to get 1 round per heavy brick. Most boss type enemies are going to laugh at you getting close enough to hit them with a full blast of this, since they are all typically just going to AoE stomp you into the ground. So that leaves the beefier mobs that are the main target for this. The problem there is that the most really beefy mobs require slightly more than 1 shot to eliminate, so you can hit them with some damage with your primary and then slowly swap to this, or just use 2 shots. Then you only get 1 ammo brick back if it was a major. Other power weapons typically have a 1-to-1 ratio for killing enemies. I think the better solution here would just be to up the ammo to maybe 10 rounds so we can have some more bullets to make us take advantage of that over-penetration. Right now, you want your extremely limited rounds to count, so you use them sparingly, which isn't very fun. More fun can easily be had when you are slightly more carefree with your ammo usage. I do need to point out that it is funny how this gun isn't particularly useful in the raid, at least as far as I can tell. Yes, it is great for the in-between phases of opening doors, but then again, what isn't? And it does okay in the baths fight, but the reload speed is a little bit too slow for the dogs encounter, and having this as your power weapon on the Callus fight means that that weapon can't actually damage Callus due to the range requirements. I suppose it's okay for dealing with the ads, but why bother with a weapon that doesn't work for most of the damage phases in the raid? It just doesn't feel like this gun was actually designed for any particular PvE encounter either, unless you count small sections of various places that have lots of tightly packed enemies. That's where I would use a grenade though, instead of wasting power ammo. Now PvP actually feels like this gun's true home. Have you ever been bad with shotguns in PvP? Trust me, I have. I was actually horrible with them in Destiny 1, and I'm still kind of bad with them in Destiny 2. Well, Legend of Acrius is the biggest crutch I've ever leaned on. If the Grimoire was still in the game here, and we had to grind for specific amounts of shotgun kills in PvP, I would be using this gun. Each pellet does around 40 damage. I think damage numbers on shotguns are a little bit weird, and the spread is just so perfect for PvP that it's almost impossible to miss as long as you get some part of someone in the hipfire reticle. I wouldn't recommend doing the traditional slide and then aim down sight since the handling speed is just so slow. Not that you really need to, since the hipfire seems to have the perfect amount of distance and accuracy to properly eliminate enemies. The rate of fire is also pretty good in PvP, even if it is a little bit slow. Since every game mode is 4v4, you're going to have a lot more one-on-one engagements if you're pushing properly and being evasive. Even if you get pushed by, say, 2 people, the rate of fire is perfect for eliminating one person and then turning to take out someone else. It's hilarious to have the power to just instantly evaporate enemies' supers without much care. This can happen pretty often too, since most people will just push you without a care in the world since they have an active super and they don't expect to get one shot. I've talked a lot about people pushing you when using this gun, but the radar perk definitely helps you being the aggressor as well. The PvP maps are pretty small, and the radar is usually fine for finding those quick, close engagements. But if you're facing a particularly passive team, this perk will help you get an idea of where they are a little bit quicker before they are actually aware of you. Having exotics or talents in your spec that will increase your sprint speed, a special note that mobility doesn't do this, will definitely help you close that gap so you can reliably one-shot those people. Another special note here. Remember how I said you pick up 4 rounds in PvP, that's 1 for every member of the opposite team. You know what game mode that works really well in? Countdown. You know what popular weekly activity that is 50% of the time? Trials of the Nine. This gun is a clutch machine there. Most teams will play pretty passive on a point or will be forced to push you if you're defending. Either way, that's the dream scenario for this weapon. Unless people respect its power in the close range and try to fight at range, you can easily wipe a team and secure a victory. Add in the fact that it can one-shot Titan walls and enemies and active supers, and you just really shouldn't be afraid of anything when wielding this in PvP. In short, the Legend of Acrius is a little bit of an underwhelming option in PvE. There's already a huge amount of power weapons out there though that fit all sorts of needs, so I'm not really too bent out of shape about that. It is kind of a shame that getting this gun requires you running the raid and some other high light level stuff. You would think that it would have a bit of a higher power level in these PvE activities. In PvP, this could easily be the new truth that you have to look out for. The gun is basically a fusion rifle with less range and no charge up time. Respect its power or you are going to be erased by it. I hope you found the information here helpful. If you did, a positive rating would be appreciated. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.